This episode of Watchin' Stuff is sponsored by T-Blocks. Stay till the end to find out how you can support ToonGrin while getting your own limited edition Geek Culture t-shirt.
ToonGrin.com.
Deep in the jungle, one boy will face the challenge of a lifetime.
Mom? Dad? Where are you?
But to find his parents, he'll need his crew.
I'm in.
Hello and welcome to Watchin' Stuff, the show about watching stuff. I'm NERO, and with me is my Canadian counterpart, WHYBOY, and WHYBOY,
Yes?
were you privy to Hey Arnold when it initially came out?
Yeah, I watched it a few times. It wasn't one of the shows that I watched a ton. It was sort of one of the... Even though it's sort of odd, like, I like those sort of slower shows that more focus on, like, character development and all that sort of stuff. But Hey Arnold didn't really, like, catch me as much as other shows did. That could have something to do with, like, Hey Arnold not appearing on Canadian television as much as, like, in the US and such. Because that was more of a Nickelodeon show and such.
Yeah, it came out back in 1996, and then it ended in 2004.
Yeah.
And now in 2017, I don't know, like 15 years later, I think,
Right.
they decided, like, man, don't you want an end to this? Or maybe a possible attempt to reinvigorate the show?
Well, to be quite fair, fans of Hey Arnold have been screaming for a bigger, like, ending for the movie, bigger for the series for many years now, ever since that piece of crap Hey Arnold the movie came out.
Didn't we,
Yeah, we reviewed that for watching stuff.
Card above the head, link in the description. Check that out.
That was one of our first watching stuffs. And that was an awful movie.
Back when we were talentless.
Yeah, an awful adaptation of Hey Arnold as well, as it just took that sort of like slow-paced Hey Arnold show and tried to just cram in like a spy plot, a saving the town plot, and all sorts of like bigger things that Hey Arnold was just not suited for.
And it's canon.
Well, it is. I think most people just retcon it out of their minds, honestly.
No, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that because of actually, the Jungle movie, the one that just came out that we're going to discuss, actually follows the 2002 Hey Arnold the movie and the two-parter series finale, The Journal.
Oh, I can see them like basing off the Journal because we see Arnold reading the Journal in the beginning of it. But I didn't think like most people wanted to remember the movie.
Well, like the movie didn't add anything because even the movie ends with everything like going back to status quo, didn't it?
Yeah, because just no one really just acknowledges anything. So it's best in my mind to just think like it's totally retconned because nothing really happened in the movie to change anything.
Maybe they just kept it there to make people happy.
Maybe.
For like that group that liked it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh god, what's the term do I use here?
Yeah, there's
Group.
two people that's like, I like the movie.
Then you get to have it be canon.
Yay! But now we got the Jungle movie.
Yeah, and I like the idea that first off, this kind of happened because of us. Those of us who like wrote in and said like, can we have a conclusion? Can we, like it was a supply and demand thing where it's like it turns out that actually writing those petitions that are bullshit most of the time actually turned out to be pretty true.
Yeah, it worked in this round because definitely the creators were wanting to like have this sort of like conclusion to the whole series and such. Because if we're gonna do like a little like overview of Hey Arnold, like Hey Arnold lives in a boarding house with all of his neighbors and such, where his mother and father basically disappeared one day in the jungles of wherever the hell they were.
San Lorenzo.
Yeah, San Lorenzo. So they disappeared, so Hey Arnold is left alone with his grandma and grandpa, and he just has all his adventures in the middle of town. But now, in the Jungle movie, he's more determined than ever to try to find his parents, because he gets the chance to go to San Lorenzo on basically sort of like, I would guess sort of a charity trip sort of thing.
Yeah, well, the idea was that the charity trip was you do something to show your humanitarianism, and then if you win, you'll be invited to San Lorenzo. So, of course, Arnold wanted to do that because, he wanted to go find his parents, and obviously this is the cheapest way that, like, a 9-year-old would probably be able to afford to get there.
Yeah, make his way there. Like, wait, Arnold's 9? Wow.
According to the TV show canon, at least on the Wikia page, Hey Arnold stars a 9-year-old kid, played by at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different voice actors.
Wow. I did not... he seems very mature for a 9-year-old, but I guess that's just to be expected in the sort of environment he lives in.
Well, think about it like this. He says because he grew up without a mom and pa, and he grew up being raised by his grandparents, and they run in, they own and run the border house. Arnold does actually do some of the menial tasks around the boarding house. Like, one of the things I do remember back in the, like, go back to the, like, old show, was he would actually go and collect rent.
Right, yeah.
So, like, every time he'd go to them, I remember because I think Gerald had slept over that episode, because he said, like, Arnold, I've never slept over at your house. You've always slept over at my house, but I want to crash at your place. And he's like, okay, but I got some things I gotta do. It's cool, I'll help you out. And they go to Ernie, the dwarf construction worker, and you get to see his personality. He's very bombastic, and he, like, smashes a giant statue of a building, and, like, the rent comes out. Mr. Wynn doesn't have the rent. Funny, you mentioned, like, in the movie, by the way, how, like, you said, I don't think spies really work in Hey Arnold. Actually, in, like, the very first season, they established that a super spy does live in the boarding house with them called Mr. Smith.
Yeah. Well, I think, like, basically, like, there are, like, outrageous things in the actual show, like Pigeon Man and all those sort of characters. It's just that having a spy-centric plot in a Hey Arnold story doesn't really work.
Yeah, like, the most they did in an episode of the original show that surrounded Mr. Smith was, he had some package that got delivered to him, and everybody in the boarding house wanted to rip it open and see what it was, because he's such a secretive person in the boarding house. And when they do rip it open, they see what it is, and it's a photo that just says, my family, and it's a picture of everybody in the boarding house that he cares about.
Aww.
Yeah. You never did get to learn, by the way, I think, what Mr. Smith does for a living. I mean, I guess we're supposed to just assume he is indeed a super spy, but, like, we never, like, the closest we ever get to actually even see of him was, like, when Arnold goes to his room, he says, Mr. Smith, it's the first of the rent, and you see, like, a security camera looking at Arnold and Gerald, and, like, Arnold has to type in a code on a keypad, and then, like, a door opens up on the floor, and it's got a big metal door on it, and it's got, like, compressed air because it's vacuum sealed.
Yeah.
And he opens it, and there's a piece of paper that just says, I owe you.
You son of a bitch.
Which he's like, you're a super spy. What, you don't get fucking paid enough to pay for rent?
Yeah. I owe you, son of a bitch.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, they do like they're having like a family dinner at one point. Arnold goes to like this specific dumbwaiter, and he puts a plate of food in there, and he just goes, "Food, Mr. Smith," and the plate just goes up, and then the plate falls down empty, and you hear like a belch.
Yeah.
And it's like, there you go, there's Mr. Smith. We never actually get to really know anything about him other than he's a very secretive member of the border. Which kind of sucks, by the way. He's not mentioned at all in the Jungle movie.
I know, but he's one of the small-time characters, though. Like, I don't even remember Mr. Smith and all that. So they just basically want to put in, like, the key members of everything.
Yeah, they have his entire class is there, except I think one of the students was missing.
Oh, I think I know why. It's like,
yeah, right, it's the asshole one, right?
The sort of kid with just like the bowl haircut with the small glasses and all that. And
yeah,
because
right?
of the worst episode of Hey Arnold, where that character basically humiliates Arnold for no good reason, and that made everyone hate him.
What? Correct me if I'm wrong, but Craig Bartlett, the guy who invented Hey Arnold, he hated that episode and that character.
That I can't confirm, but I wouldn't be surprised if he hated it, because that's sort of like if one of our stories basically had a character basically treating our main character like shit, and just afterwards supposed to be like, oh, well, he's quirky.
It's interesting because at its core, what Hey Arnold is, just as a show before we get into the movie, at its core, yeah, it's about a kid living in the inner city. He lives in a boarding house with a bunch of colorful characters, and I kind of assume it's New York. I don't think they ever say specifically where it is, but it feels very New York.
It's definitely a New York-esque city, definitely with all the sort of accents and sort of the multiculturalism that's around it and such.
Yeah, I think at its core, when you sum up what it is, it's sort of like almost a lesson of the day kind of thing. Like, some of it's just mild, it's just general entertainment, but there are plenty of episodes where they do morals and lessons, like, they did an episode where, like, there's an episode I always kind of remember because Harold, the heavyset kid, he was kind of like the school bully for a stint, and then eventually what they ended up doing was, there's an episode where he's concerned about getting overweight, and everybody makes fun of him because he's fat. And at one point, Arnold helps him to lose the weight, and I think in the end, he only ends up losing maybe like, I don't know, just a couple of pounds.
Yeah, I would guess like a couple of pounds, because that's sort of like the nature of the story. Like, it's not like none of the Hey Arnold stories are just like miraculous changes or anything like that. It's usually just more realistic ones, basically just showing like a hopeful nature to this show. Just like you can change, but in a more realistic way. Just like that other episode that you talked about, like another bully character who basically needed help from Arnold.
Torvald.
Torvald needed help to pass a class. And basically, Arnold helps him, being the good-natured kid he is, and he passes with a C.
Yeah, and I really like that too, because like he's clearly trying. He's having a lot of hard time studying, and he's a big tough kid, and you get to see like how tough he is, and he's like big. He's the biggest. Like I think. Oh god, I think they're in the 5th grade. Because the movie they moved to 6th grade. Yeah. So like he was like the biggest 5th grader because he was held back. And, he goes through, what do you expect? Like, feels kind of stupid, feels like, it's ridiculous because I'm so big, so I really stand out in the crowd. And you get to meet his mom, and his mom adores him. And at one point he even says, like, I just want to pass because I want to make my mom proud of me. And that episode ends where he comes out of class, and Arnold's like, how'd you do? And he looks at Arnold with a smile, and he goes, dude, I got a C! I got a C+! I gotta go show my mom, Arnold, thanks. And he's just, like, really happy. And I know there's gonna be that group of people where it's like, what the fuck, he couldn't get a higher grade? But that's realistic, though. If you're a bad student like I was, I'm ecstatic to get a goddamn C, especially if it's, like, a math test.
Yeah, maybe it'd been like you'd be over the hill just to say, like, I got an A+, I gotta show my mom this. But it's just also, like, a really different change. Like, the difference between, like, an F student and an A student is, like, night and day sort of thing. You have to put a lot of work from just starting at F to get to an A. So that's just his growth. He got from F to a C. That's a considerable growth still. And
yeah,
he's happy
that means
about
he's
that.
halfway there. Yeah, that means, like, he's halfway there now. And that's the thing, like, the whole point of the show's premise in a nutshell is that Arnold interacts with these different people, and he gets into their lives, and there's different connections. I really do recommend, if ever, seeing the episode where Helga goes to therapy. Yeah. Because that explores why she, like, no joke, it is really creepy how she is obsessed with Arnold.
Yeah, for those who don't know about Hey Arnold, Helga is basically sort of like an anime trope that would be the tsundere character who's just like, ooh, I hate the main character, but deep down I really love him.
That's like, what's her name from, oh god, Naruto?
Yeah, Sakura.
The crazy pig-eared ninja? Yeah.
But she already really did hate Naruto, and just like, oh, for Sasuke.
Yeah, that's the only difference is that, they didn't play, like, Helga was creepy, she did do creepy things, she made, like, murals of Arnold and stuff like that, but even as creepy as that stuff is, I mean, especially even for a 9-year-old, it's still kind of creepy.
Yeah.
When they do show that episode, you 100% understand it, because the whole thing is that she deals with constant neglect from her family. Her mom's an alcoholic. They don't say it because it's a kid's show, but her mom's very, very clearly an alcoholic. She's always got like a blender or a smoothie machine, and she's always like slurring her words and sleepy. She's very clearly an alcoholic.
Yeah. And her dad is basically very detached from her as well, but more for her sister Olga. So basically,
yeah. Well, they both favor Olga over Helga. And that's the thing is, like, they're so neglectful of their daughter. And then in one episode, she was supposed to go to kindergarten, and her mom was too drunk to drive her, and her dad was at work. So she ends up walking to school, and she gets like covered in mud, and it rains, and like a dog attacks her and takes her little lunch when she's a little kid. And then she gets to the school. She's trying to get to the school, and she's all sad. And a car pulls up, and Arnold comes out and puts an umbrella over her, and it's the first act of kindness she's experienced.
Yeah. Like, that's sort of like the major strength of Hey Arnold, is Arnold himself. Like, Arnold is almost a light to it, where in the first Hey Arnold the movie, it felt more like everyone was just sort of beating up on Arnold, even though he's so... Like, the fact that it was good-natured personality is the major crux of the show. It's what drives everything. It's what makes people like the show, in a sense, because it's sort of centered around his good nature on how he likes to help people. Where the first movie was just like, hey Arnold, what are you doing? Stupid Arnold. But as the first Jungle movie starts out, it's basically a celebration of his good-naturedness, as it's doing sort of like a quasi-montage of all the key episodes where he actually helped all the characters in the town.
Yeah, I actually really like that. Like, they show him at school. Like, he keeps having this recurring nightmare about his parents missing, which it kind of makes sense to a degree. Like, I don't think he would probably have as deep a trauma as they make it out to be, because he left his parents when he was very, very young. But I guess maybe because he has that sense of wanting more, because he doesn't have them, that's why it permeates so much in terms of nightmares.
Yeah, I would guess it's sort of thing like that. Like I was actually just watching before this YouTuber Shane Dawson, as he has his own sort of mother and dad issues and such. Like, it's sort of along that sort of same length. Like, it's that sort of wanting of connection that basically makes the trauma that much more worse.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So, like, we see him, you know, the idea is that Arnold's having this nightmare, and, you know, we get to see the boarding house members, you know, and then eventually we get to see him go to school, and he goes to, I think Mr. Simmons is his teacher, and they talk about the humanitarian project. And Arnold tries to do something, and it goes tits up.
Yeah, because the homeless people.
Yeah, because apparently homeless people in this show and movie are horrible.
They are. We're not saying that, and in real life, we are saying in this movie they are clearly horrible people.
Yeah, in this context, like it was really weird because like Arnold and Gerald decided to make like a habitat for Monkey Man, and they recorded themselves building this cool habitat for this homeless guy, and then all these other homeless people show in, and they rip it the fuck apart, and it just sinks into the Hudson and floats away downhill.
Yeah.
And then eventually, you know, because Helga always spies on Arnold, she finds out what Arnold's trying to do, and then she goes into her creepy underground video archives. Yeah, her lair where she has a bunch of video documentaries of Arnold. Again, by today's standards, this is very fucking creepy, but like in the 90s, it was almost kind of charming. Especially when you were a kid.
I don't really know.
No. Hear me out.
Okay.
Because when you're like really young, this is just funny and quirky. But when you're older, you realize how creepy this is.
I don't really know. I don't really know about that. Like the whole like her pulling out the heart necklace and saying something romantic to it. Like, that's charming to me. Like, even as a little kid, I'm just be like, wow, she's going a little bit extreme.
Yeah, but can you remember how you felt now compared to where you were back then? Like, back then, can you remember her when she had the giant statue made of his used chewing gum in the shape of his head? Now, you think about it because of today's mindset, you're like, that's fucking horrifying.
No, I'm actually not thinking like horrifying. I'm thinking back then, I was just like, that's hilariously over the top. And I'm thinking now, that's hilariously over the top. Just like, gum everywhere, need to be shaped like a football head.
There's one part where she like kisses it to make out, and because it's used gum, it's like it's all wet, so it just like gets stuck to her face and gets pulled out. It's so gross.
Oh God.
Yeah, again, like they took her obsession to creepy levels. When you when you go back and watch it over, it's I get the idea. He's the first person to ever be nice to her. I mean,
yeah.
Like, that's the thing. It's like she couldn't even like her sister Olga, because her sister Olga doesn't really seem to be mean to Helga, but it's clear that all that resentment is put on Olga.
Yeah, it's still clearly there.
because it's like, you know, mom and dad love you so much more than me, and I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
Right. It's just messed up.
Yeah, thinking about the gum now.
But going back to the Jungle movie,
Yeah.
like they go to the lair, they get all like the highlight clips of Hey Arnold's like I keep calling him Hey Arnold for some reason, but his good-natured
Because
deeds.
everyone calls him Hey Arnold. Like, I think in this movie, didn't they do that, like, that bit 3 times where he, like, shows up and someone just goes, Hey Arnold.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, we get it. The show's called Hey Arnold. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Yeah, so they put the clips together. They basically make a really good-natured clip show for Arnold, just all from like different creepy angles and all that. And it's like a really touching scene. Definitely a bigger breath of fresh air from the last movie, where it's just more putting down all the good deeds and such.
That movie sucks so bad.
Yeah, and we just gotta keep on thinking of that.
Yeah, so, like, eventually Arnold, so, like, because of Arnold's friends, and they made this humanitarian video, and they sent it in, and they won the contest, so they get to go to San Lorenzo. We do establish a little bit that, by the way, Helga's parents, still shit, learned absolutely nothing. They still treat her like garbage.
Awful people.
They are. They are the worst fucking people.
Like, how could you possibly like them? Or being so horrible.
You know, the thing is, it's like, it's not even funny now, because now we have such an understanding of, like, kids who deal with neglect and how it fucks with them.
Yeah, so having this sort of neglectful parent situation is just not funny anymore.
No,
like,
it's just sad.
It makes me still like Helga a lot more because I sympathize with her, but those two, ugh.
Oh yeah, Helga's great. So they go to San Lorenzo, and Arnold looks for his Ma and Pa's friend, Eduardo, because Eduardo was, I'm not really too sure what the fuck Eduardo was. I want to say he's like their Sherpa, like he was like their guide.
He was sort of like their friend and all that. Yeah, definitely sort of a Sherpa sort of character for them. Like, I don't really remember from the story of the disappearance of his parents from like the show, but I'm guessing that he was mentioned a few times.
Oh, I think he was certainly in it, but it's been like 15 years since that damn ending, so it's kind of hard. I guess in retrospect, we probably could have watched the journal before we watched the film, but
meh.
I don't know, man. I don't even think have they done a complete series release on DVD yet of Hey Arnold?
I believe they have. Like, I've looked at it up on Amazon. I believe they do have the full series on there. Like, this still makes me want to watch the full series again, because it makes me just sort of recollect, because there was some adult things in Hey Arnold that are not in most kid shows.
Oh yeah, I mean, we all thought that Pigeon Man died at the end of his episode. No, it turns out he's fine. He's living in was it France? He was at the Notre Dame?
Yeah, he was at Notre Dame, like living with a bunch of pigeons. Just like, yeah, good for you.
You didn't die. Yeah. I assumed you plummeted off that roof and died.
No, I guess he just flew to France.
I guess he just flew to France. Good on you, Pigeon Man.
Or just landed in the water and just basically just floated away.
Oh, that's so sad.
Well, if that's sad, he just woke up in France.
Oh yeah, I guess he's fine. I guess, nothing killed him. I guess he just floated safely to France, because, it's that easy.
Yeah, but back to Eduardo, and as it just turns out, like, Eduardo helping Arnold there wasn't really Eduardo at all. It was this super evil, what was his name? Like,
La Sombra.
La Sombra, that's it.
Played by Alfred Molina. Doc Ock himself voiced another character.
Yeah, we were both thinking just the whole time, it's just like, oh yeah, he's obviously the bad guy,
Well, it's, like, every time you see him where it's like, he talks to Arnold in private, and he's like, Arnold, don't tell your friends about this, and it's like, he's just gonna be La Sombra, right? And it turns out he is La Sombra, and we're like, oh, okay. And then out of nowhere, Eduardo shows up, and we're like, oh!
So Eduardo was actually a person.
I thought Eduardo was La Sombra the entire time, even going back, like when his parents were around. I thought that so La Sombra was always Eduardo, and he was just using Arnold's parents. But no, it turns out no, Eduardo was indeed a dude. He was actually the friend of his parents. Yeah, he was just a separate person.
Yeah, he just went to hiding after La Sombra ransacked his place during the earlier in the movie and such. And so just disappeared throughout the half of it. So basically, the story is more Arnold trying to find his parents, with La Sombra basically tricking him throughout the whole thing, and then they get lost in the jungle at one point.
Slapstick and antics. Something bad happens to Eugene because he's a jinx.
Yeah.
Rhonda complains because she's a spoiled brat. And they go through the jungle. Sid loses his beetle boots because that's a reference. As a matter of fact, a lot of the film in a nutshell is, do you remember this?
Yeah.
And it's some nod to the show. And it's funny because being that it's 15 years removed since that damn ending, even when I was watching it with you, I was like, that's a reference. That's a reference. Stinky having a bindle because he's like a hillbilly. That's a reference.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking that as well. And it just sort of made me think, just like, even with all these sort of references, I felt like it almost felt a little bit more natural in this sort of movie, in a sense. Like, you see, like, all the fan servicing sort of shows around that basically just throwing, like, reference.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you see Star Wars Rogue One, at the very end of the movie, it literally stops for 30 seconds to jerk itself off about Lord Vader showing up and killing a bunch of rebels. And don't get me wrong, I've seen that movie 3 times only for that scene. And it's worth it to watch Vader viciously murder people. But it's only there just to be like, yeah, you remember Darth Vader? And it's like, yeah, okay, alright. It has no real significance, but okay.
Yeah, and there was sort of certainly a danger of that happening to Hey Arnold the Jungle movie, because like, that's just sort of the danger of referencing it. It just becomes that sort of like friend is just always nudging it, just like, hey, do you remember this? Do you remember this, buddy? Come on, hey, do you
wink,
remember?
Wink, nudge, nudge, know what I mean? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
It's like, yes, we know what you mean, shut up. But no, in this movie, everything felt more natural, and I think that's because that the whole movie just sort of has more of a calmer tone to it. Like, it's not like, oh, explosion, we gotta just destroy the town and all that.
Did you notice that the modernization for it didn't really change anything? Like, there's like 2 major things they did, and that was Helga's dad's company is going out of business because it's like, who the fuck uses a beeper in 2017?
Yeah.
And like the only 2 big references to modern day that I can really notice was there was the fact that it's like he runs a beeper emporium and they sell everything like 75% off, which is funny that it's like, wow, 75%. So you still expect people to buy a beeper somehow. Yeah. And the only other thing was Rhonda still had her cell phone, but instead of being like, I think she used to have a flip phone. Yeah. Now it's a flat one.
Yeah, now she can do selfies and all that. Like her montage scene was just her doing selfies and all that.
Yeah.
And they use the cell phone later in the movie to basically try to save the day later.
So as a whole, what would you rate this as? I mean, because it is so far removed.
Well, before I want to rate it, I want to more talk about, like, because there is sort of, like, the true thing that people wanted to see in this was Arnold seeing his parents again. Like, before we ever saw the movie, like, our inclination was just sort of like, his parents would be dead, basically, they died trying to save the people that they were trying to help. Maybe killed by La Sombra, we don't know. But that just sort of like...
Which, by the way, this villain... Holy shit, dark as fuck.
Yeah, like when he first appears, it's just like, oh yeah, that's just like a generic ass villain.
It's a camp Nickelodeon villain.
Yeah, but we're gonna phrase it like this: we have La Sombra and like 7 of his men. As he's going after Arnold, each one of his men dies.
He's the only one that makes it to the inner workings of the temple.
Yeah, it's not like they accidentally die. He basically leads them all to their deaths.
Yeah, he gets them killed just so like the booby traps go off, so his ass is safe.
Yeah, and the first guy who dies in the worst way. Like we won't spoil the other booby traps, but the first booby trap is basically arrows coming out, and to save his ass, he grabs the fat guy, puts it in front of him.
Yeah, total meat shield.
Yeah. Like, that's a funny thing about this movie. Like, it has, like, those sort of violent scenes, but if you don't show any blood, it's completely fine.
No, but I kind of wish more movies like that are...
Yeah, I would really actually like to see that more, because it does make it more forceful like that, more climactic, to basically, like, have people, like, come up with a knife and stab somebody. Like, sure, you don't have to see the blood and all that, but you can see, like, the skin going in and all that, just feel the pressure of it, and feel the pain just by doing that.
I think they did that in Beauty and the Beast, actually. I think Gaston drove a dagger into the beast.
Yeah, I believe so. They basically just made him curl up in his body so it wouldn't, so no one could actually see the actual stab mark.
I I think the idea is like you don't have to show gore and viscera so much as like if you can show just the intense amount of pain to it, it gets the point across and it makes your villains look better.
Yeah,
and it was surprising for this because like what was the last villain? The fucking like land developer from that shitty movie, and it's like this is a joke, right? This is such a pathetic excuse for an antagonist.
Yeah, you're really like, I'm gonna bulldoze everything to make a mall.
My God, that trope is. Oh my God, that trope is so prominent in so many things now that I think about it.
Yeah, it's so lame.
God, that was like Grandma Got Ran Over by a Reindeer had that shit too, I think.
Yeah, it definitely did, but it wasn't really like the land developer that was the bad guy. It was sort of the
Cousin
bitchy.
Mel.
Yeah, the bitchy sister that was the was the bad guy. Just like, ugh.
Like this was such a step up. Like I feel like this whole movie was like the reaction
To
the last film.
And just like, oh my God, we did such a horrible job with this one. Now we got this one. We got to really live up to everyone's expectations. But
And unlike the other film, this one actually lets the other characters do stuff.
Yeah.
Because you're like, yeah, okay, the big three is that it's Helga, Gerald, and Arnold, and they go to the Temple of the Green Eyed People. But then his classmates, they all still get to do stuff though, like Olga and Curly, Harold, Sid, Stinky, Phoebe, Rhonda, Nadine, they all still get to do stuff.
Yeah. It's just in their own sort of
hell, even
side story
Arnold's-
and such.
Even Arnold's grandpa, grandma, and Big Bob and Miriam do show up,
Yeah.
and even they lend some credence to do something.
Yeah, and it makes it a lot more like a together movie. It feels like everything's like interlocked together to basically make a coherent story. I do feel there is sort of an issue with it by the end of it, but I'll go to that in a little bit because I want to first talk about like the Green-Eyed People, because this was a group of people that Arnold's parents wanted to help. And here's just the big twist was, hey, Arnold's parents, like we already said spoilers at the beginning, but here's spoilers now. Arnold's parents are alive, but they are infected by the sleeping disease.
It's the sleeping sickness. Like this predates. I think back in the journal is that they came to this country and they came to this place in San Lorenzo, and then in there they met these tribes called the Green-Eyed People, and they were trying to make remedies for a disease called the sleeping sickness that basically it put people in a coma. Think of it very Snow White or Sleeping Beauty.
Yes.
It just sort of
Yeah, it's
makes you
basically a
fall
coma disease.
Yeah. But mind you, if you had like no nutrients going into your body for an extended period of time, you'd just be dead. You don't go into stasis. That's not how it works.
Yeah, unless you actually been put into stasis, but I don't think placing on top of rocks will do that.
Yeah, like rocks and
Butterflies.
but butterflies, because even the butterflies were affected by it. But that was like that's one of those things where it's like I think you and I should overlook the fact of the idea of like realism, and my argument is this.
Yeah, I overlooked that. Like that's still like not my problem with it. Like I feel like it is sort of like that nice happy ending sort of thing. Like I would have liked it if they went a bit more like realistic, darker route, but everyone sort of wants a happy ending for Arnold and such. But in a way, like just going past like sort of the final climax and all that, because I want people to see the climax, because I sort of actually liked how everything sort of like came out and such. But when Arnold sees his parents, like the first thing they say is like, "Hey Arnold," and I'm just like, that was not the place for that line.
They might as well be, like, as soon as he showed up, they might as well have looked at him and said, "Title drop."
You needed an emotional moment there, not a reference. And then fade to white. And then like and this is just the most stupidest part of the movie for both of us. We felt this was totally out of left field, where Arnold basically wakes up in bed right after that. Just like, oh my God, was all that a dream? No.
Oh man,
no.
we were so ready to tear this movie a new asshole if everything we watched up until that point just turned out to be a dream.
Yeah, that would have been the worst. But he goes downstairs and he sees his parents again, but then we just think like, wow, my dream is a fucking dick.
They even when he came downstairs, they said, "Hey Arnold."
Yeah. Like that's sort of my biggest problem with the movie. Like every single bit up to that point had sort of like emotional moments, those sort of referential like nice moments. and everything. Like, everything building up this Arnold seeing his parents again. And it doesn't feel like Arnold and his parents basically have any time to basically have that emotional moment. Because they're so, like, speeding towards the end. Like, there are little bits of clever writing, because, like, you have Arnold's parents waiting outside of his school for him at the very last shot of the movie, because they want to be in his life more now than ever, that he's been asleep. But we never got that before, and we never even got, like, a conclusion to, like, In the Jungle. We just cut immediately back to the intercity scenes. Mm-hmm. And it just feels, like, rushed at the end of things.
It feels like, to a degree, it was a very quick wrap-up, and I don't know if it was budgetary, I don't know if it was just, that's actually what they just wanted to do. The cynicism in me says, like, they did that, so if people really had a good reaction and we want to bring in a new show, the new status quo has been set up in, like, the last 2 minutes, so we don't even have to explore that when we do the show now. We could just move on in.
Yeah, we could do some sort of explorations within the show itself. It sort of makes the ending feel a little bit almost like a cop-out in a sense. Like, we had all this sort of build-up to basically, like, a pilot. A pilot, yeah, it's just... But, all in all, I would really say, like what my final rating for Hey Arnold, the Jungle movie would be a must-watch for me. Even though, like, this is more in tune for, like, fans and such, like, I feel like there's a lot of clever writing in it that basically makes it strong enough to basically stand on its own merits. Or what about you?
I could concede to that. I would have done a good watch, because I do feel there's a detachment. Again, man, I was watching Hey Arnold when I was a kid, alright? I'm 30 now.
Yeah.
And it's been 15 years since I've seen this. So the connection is to, like, the emotional connection with his parents and stuff, it doesn't resonate with me as much, especially because we really never explored too much stuff with his parents from the get-go. There's the Journal 2-parter, but I don't really recall them ever doing anything else with the parent characters. At most, I know that Arnold has a very strong connection with his grandma and grandpa.
Yeah.
So, like, when they were talking to him and they were afraid he was going to go on this trip, and, you know, there's that bit of shelteredness where it's like, we don't want him to be disappointed when it doesn't work out.
Right.
I think one of the things that gets me too is that I've always taken that Arnold's dad was the son of Grandpa Phil.
Yeah.
And we never got to see that, like, reconciling. Like, oh shit, my son's alive after 9 years of being lost in the jungle.
Yeah, it's just go, like, cut to, like, having breakfast.
Like, it wouldn't have killed them, maybe just to tack on, like, 20 minutes at the end. Just to do that stuff.
Yeah.
Because, like we said, like, again, my inner cynicism tells me, like, oh, yeah, dude, you know that ending just feels like it's just, like, a quick pilot to be like, and if, Nickelodeon wanted to do a show?
You get another season with this?
I mean, let's be honest, you guys can't bank on the stupid sponge forever. I mean, you have been, but I mean...
But, like, yeah, man, yeah.
Make other shows, God. But yeah, I can concede with you that it's a must-see. I think first off, if you're a Hey Arnold fan, you're gonna like this.
Yeah.
If you recall the shit from Hey Arnold, you'll really be able to like this, because you'll probably feel a bigger investment connection to it.
Yeah.
If you're brand new, if you're really young and you guys don't know what Hey Arnold is, pick up the series on DVD. I guarantee you could find the show online. We're not advocating piracy. We're just saying a Google search, you could probably easily find episodes on YouTube or anywhere else that streams videos.
Yeah, definitely.
Because that's the era we live in. And get connected with it. Hey Arnold was a very acclaimed show. 5 seasons, 100 episodes. It had a very strong run. It was, for the longest time, when you would think Nickelodeon and you thought Nicktoons, that was one of the biggest ones that would always come up alongside, like, Rugrats and Doug, until Doug was sold to Disney and then Disney ruined it.
Yep, exactly. And that, like, I don't really have anything more to say to add to that, because that's exactly it. I would say, like, it is also true what you said as well. For it would be a good watch to, like, most other people who who aren't into as Hey Arnold as much. It's a must-see for Arnold fans, but a good watch to everyone else, as I still feel like the writing itself is basically solid enough to basically be enjoyable for anyone who's not in tune with Arnold as anybody else. And maybe the references to them would just feel like more like, oh, why is he crying about his boots and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, like, oh, I got that, because I know Sid likes his Beetle boots.
But yeah. But that's watching stuff, guys. And we'd just like to say thank you for watching. If you want to see more from us, be sure to subscribe to the channel below and hit that like button.
Bell.
Yep, hit the bell definitely, because you need notifications to see whenever we post. Because we post the watching stuff every single Friday. And if you want to continue to support our show, you can hit us up on Patreon, where you can basically put in money towards us. Basically, tell us to review anything you want. You can do a Cartoon Corner, NERO reviews, or watching stuff, or just support us to see any sort of behind-the-scenes content. Or if you just want to see yourself wearing merch, like I'm wearing stuff something from the TeePublic store. This would be our ToonGrin sweatshirt. It's definitely hot to wear, and it's definitely good for the winter months. And that's why I'm wearing it with my nice little Christmas vest.
It's adorable.
It certainly is. And we would just like to thank our sponsor, T-Blocks, for supporting this episode. And if you want to get your own little limited edition shirt from one of their blocks, you can go to ToonGrin TBX, go to the link below, and basically you get a little discount for us, and we get a little bit to help support the show.
Yeah, kickbacks!
Yeah, kickbacks. And
That's
also
the foundation of all great things.
And also sweet ass shirts. So remember, thank you to T-Blocks and ToonGrin TBX. Link in the description below.
Awesome. Now, I'm thinking, why don't you open that bag though, so we can give them a taste of what T-Blocks has to offer.
You think we should give them a taste of this? This bag right here?
Just a scoosh, just a scoosh. That's a real measurement, by the way. Scoosh. Look it up.
Let us see. I gotta rip. There we
Wow,
go.
that was sad.
It was not sad. I opened it. See, it's a hole right there. And just like, here we go.
Oh wow, man, that just slipped right out.
Yeah. Oh, and it's from one of their. It's a cartoon T-Blocks they have that you can select from. And you can get this cool Adventure Time shirt.
Oh, so it's Finn as a taxi driver, Jake's the taxi, Gunter is a backseat passenger, then it's Peppermint Butler, Beemo, Princess Bubblegum, Marceline the Vampire Queen, Lumpy Space Princess, Flame Princess, and then Lemon Grab.
Yeah.
Well, I think we could agree that this shirt is acceptable!
It certainly is. Like, oh my god, like, and this is like really nice too. Like, it's a, let me just see. Like, yeah, there's a New York Comic Con shirt, so you can get like limited edition shirts like this if you just get it from T-Blocks.
That's very awesome.
Yeah, you just basically go to their website, put in what sort of cartoons that you like, and you may be able to get a shirt just like this or any other cartoons that you like. It's all random, and it's almost the Christmas season, so maybe you can send that to somebody that you like.
So
Like
right now,
us.
though,
Send me all of them.
Question is, are they strictly T-shirts?
For right now, they're starting out with strictly T-shirts right now, but they'll be doing a premium T-Blocks in due time. They're just developing that right now. So,
that's cool. All right.
Yeah, but you can just get it for like a small price. Like I believe it's like $6.99 a month to basically get a shirt like this.
Shit.
Like
Fuck,
yeah,
I might do that.
Yeah, like that's a pretty good deal to get like a limited edition shirt like this.
Yeah, especially because it's like all pop culture stuff. So I mean, if you're into that nerdy stuff, your cartoons and video games and all that great stuff, why not?
Yeah, really. So just go to the link below. Be sure to use ToonGrin DBX, and you can get a shirt like that or many other ones. Like you get sci-fi video games and cartoons and many others.
Right on. Well, guys, this has been Watching Stuff, and as always, remember to tune in
to ToonGrin.
Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever it is you celebrate. Be good to yourself and be good to your neighbors.
And be thankful to the great football head.